So I accidentally shot the review in 720, so it's going to be upscaled to 1080, but the on-feet and all that stuff, that'll be downscaled from 4K, so everything should still look good, and the bulk of the review is covered by pictures anyway, so how much does it really matter, you know? What is going on, people? So, in case you happen to be wondering, this here Faces of Fear shirt that I have on today, it's because I was doing a little island adventure sneaker battle not too long ago, and it kind of fit with the theme. So, I like to dress for the occasion, you know what I'm saying? And it's a cool shirt, right? I got this from a pro wrestling crate some time ago. I don't know if I did a video on that one or not, because I feel like I've had it for a long time. It may have been before those days started. But anyways, moving right along to this right here. This is what we're actually here for. So I picked these up, did the unboxing during like the sneaker battle after everything was all said and done. The reason I bought these though, not just because they look cool, well that's part of it, but it's an Ultraboost 5.0, right? You can kind of see that on the side of the box. It probably says that on there, does it? Yeah, it does. So anyways, I bought these because the sixes just came out and I figured I'll probably want to do like a comparison, right? So let me go ahead and buy a five because I realized I didn't have one. I thought I did, but I have the uncaged and I have the 4D, but I didn't have an actual Ultraboost 5.0 DNA, right? So I had to fix that. And I'd had my eyes on these for a long, long time. And there was finally a sale on them. I actually almost missed out through a technicality on the site because I went back. They'd been fully in stock, full size run, as they say. And I went on the site the next day, and it was like, oh no, they're all gone. I'm like, no, they aren't. Impossible. Like an hour later, they all came back, but apparently there was just an Adidas site-wide error. So once they came back in stock, I made my order, and surprisingly, they arrived like 2 days later. It was freaking crazy. But regardless, now here we are with these. So let's go ahead and talk about them. This, in case I didn't say it, because I'm pretty sure I didn't, this is the Adidas Ultraboost 5.0 DNA in the Dash Gray and Signal Green colorway. And it glows in the dark. So now that we've got that out of the way, now we can go ahead and we can talk about these. We're going to start things off with the bottom down here. So what you're seeing down there, I believe they call that the stretch web type outsole, right? It's nothing you haven't seen before. You got a little bit of pink down there in the middle area for the torsion system, and otherwise it's just pretty much standard plain stuff. Kind of like this here midsole, right? Standard plain stuff. This is basically, it's all white boost, right? Nothing too fancy about it. So let's go ahead and move on to the upper because that's where things start to matter, as I often say. So this is pretty much just your standard mix of past stitching patterns from like the Ultraboost 1 through the 4. So that's kind of where the whole DNA thing comes in, I assume. Because you look down here and you've got some of the two elements. You've got some one things, well, some two here, one on the side, whatever, however you want to look at it. I can never remember which one is the 3 and the 4 is between the side of there. But either way, you got that going on as well. But just giving you some close-ups here real quick, right? Down here around the toe box area, pretty stiff down here. Not as stiff as the 21s, but it is. And then right above that, you got that nice prime knit upper going on. It feels a little thick than some compared to some. But, it's not like it's going to be anything crazy because it's still an Ultraboost, right? It's still a knitted material. So you got that, and you have a bit of that dash gray. It looks like white from distance, or at least off-white. It's not, according to them. And then you got that signal green kind of mixed in there. Very vibrant. Hopefully that's coming out right in the camera and everything. Moving back along, that's where you start to get those switches of the patterns based on the past Ultraboost. So on the side here, you have the lines, which I'm leaning towards the 3s, but I feel like that might not be right. And anyway, so you got that going on behind the cage, and then this cage here, it's pretty much like this opaque-ish color, but that's because it glows in the dark. And so then the cage on the top area here, it does have like the black stripes with a little bit of pink in there. And scrolling up just a little bit, you have some pink on these eyelets or whatever they call these for where the laces go. I forget what that word is, but it's something like that. So you got that going on. And then moving on to the back, I think this might be the 4 styling that they have here, where it's like the blocked out area, and that goes all around to the back of the shoe. Still with that very nice green, that signal green as they call it. Other brands, I think Nike only calls it Volt, but whatever. So you got that basically going on through the whole outside of the shoe, that gray and that green all mixed in together. Swinging things back around to the front though, you got these here laces going on, and the laces are pretty much the standard color that you have on the rest of the upper for the most part, but a little bit lighter, a little bit closer to like an actual light gray, where this is kind of like a darkerish kind of vibe. But anyways, you have that, and then as you usually do, you have a very plush feeling tongue type area. I'm hesitant to say that it's actually a tongue, but whatever. And on there, you do have that little Adidas logo, and that is looking like it's going to be 3M as well. So there's that for you. And now, moving back along, I think we've covered pretty much everything there is to say about the outside of the shoe. So we're going to dip down onto the inside and go see what's going on in there. So down there, what you're seeing is pretty much just your standard stuff that you probably expected to see. So you've got that green insole and you've got that pink lettering. So it's kind of a nice contrast. And this says Prime Blue, made with Parley Ocean Plastic. So I guess if this is Prime Blue, that would explain why this does have a certain type of feel to it. If this was just your standard Prime Knit, this would just be knit. But if it's going to be the Prime Blue, that means part of it is made with the ocean plastic, which kind of makes it feel just a little more snug, not quite as movable as like the standard Ultraboost 1 through 4s, but it's still not terrible. It's just a little different. So there's that for you. But I believe that covers the entire shoe. So I'll hit you with some personal thoughts real quick, then we'll get into the sizing. So personally, right, I was a little on the fence about this shoe when I first saw it because it looked very white in the pictures, and I'm not a white shoe guy. And I thought that this green was not going to be as vibrant. But I happened to see these in store last week, along with all those 7s that came out. They had those 7s everywhere. But I saw these and I thought, okay, this looks a lot better than I expected to. So I bought them like the next day, and here we are. But as I was saying before, one of the things that drew me in was that glow in the dark thing. So hopefully I can get some good pictures in here of that happening, because that's a huge selling point, at least in my opinion. Now, we're done with that. So I would say let's go ahead, talk about some sizing, talk about some comfort, all that stuff. Now, this is a 9.5. And the reason it's a 9.5 is because everything I buy from Adidas is a 9.5. And that tends to fit pretty well, right? It's also the size that I buy on other brands, right? So the Nikes and all that stuff is my true to size, and that's what I would say that this is, a true to size fit. So whatever type of other shoes you buy in like casual type shoes, go with that for these. You'll probably be fine. Are they going to feel a little snug? Some people would say that, and I can see where they're coming from. But it is the Prime Knit thing, Prime Blue, whatever. So it will stretch out just a little bit. So you got that going for yourself. Now, as far as the cushioning in here, this is the older style of cushioning, kind of like before they moved to like the 19s and the 20s and the 21s. So it's going to be a little more cushy, right? If that's a word to use. Whereas the other newer ones are a little stiffer. So if you weren't like a huge fan of the older Ultraboost for whatever reason, you're probably not going to be a huge fan of these. So if you want something that's a little more stiff, a little more soft solid, a little more sturdy, that kind of thing, then you're probably going to want to go with like a 21 or a 19 if you can find one. And if you can't find either of those for your price range, go with a 20. I'd rank them in that order personally. Now, as far as the upper was going here, I would say that, like I said before, it's not the most mobile or stretchable or whatever as the original 1 through 4s are, but it's still going to be just a little more stretchy than like a 21, definitely more than a 20. So if you want something that's going to feel extra light on your foot as far as the upper goes, and you're not looking for the performance aspect, you might actually side with these over the newer ones. The newer ones have that advantage in that they're a little stitched differently, so they have a little bit more of a running, tuned stitch to them. Just something to think about if you're looking past more than just like something nice to wear. If you want to buy something that fits what you do, maybe give that some thought. But past that, I've said a fair amount about this. I'm just going to wrap it up by saying It's a lightweight, comfortable shoe that's going to be good for the summer because it's super breathable and relatively cheap. So you can wear a whole bunch of them, get them kind of dirty, move on to another pair because they're also going to be easy to replace. So there's that for you. I think we're good, right? I can't ask you. You're not even here to hear it. From me to you, have a nice rest of your day or rest of your night, whatever it is, wherever you are. It is now 12:03, so I'm going to go to sleep. I'll do the rest of the editing and whatnot tomorrow, now that the bulk is done. So, later, people.